Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Happy International Women's Day. Today, I celebrate women. I celebrate feminine power. I am a feminist. I celebrate mothers, especially maternal power, the power of love, the power of unconditional love. Today, that is what I would like to emphasize on. 50 years ago, my mother gave birth to me. So I celebrate being 50 a day after my birthday yesterday. And over the years, as I lived my life, I realized how much power and how much love a mother has. I did not know this until I became a student mom myself at age 22. And as if it wasn't enough, a student mom again at age 23. What that taught me is responsibility at another level I had never known. The instinct to protect and to give the best of my children, even though I was still a student. So I began to appreciate what my mother went through. And I remember going to my mom after I gave birth to my own daughter to just go and say, Mom, I'm sorry for some of the things that I did to you because I didn't know that this is what it's like being a mom. So as I speak maternal power, I speak from my own experience. And today I would like especially to honor my mom. My mom is no more. She died at age 48. In 2018, when I turned 48, I was scared of dying at the age of 48, just like my mom. And I began to question myself. Did mom do everything that she was meant to do on this earth? Did she fulfill her purpose? She had 8 of us, and she had to raise all of us and still have a life. Did she live a life that was complete? And did she follow her passions? All those were questions. As I looked at myself in the mirror and I said, oh, I'm not too old. So mom must have died young. And I cried for mom. I cried for what might have been if she had more years on this earth. So I began to question myself. What if I die? What will I leave? What legacy will I leave? What have I always wanted to do that I have not done? And then I realized that the injustice that I suffered from my birth to my womanhood was like a pregnancy in my belly and it was waiting to be birthed. So the memory of my mom dying at 48 really disrupted me and got me moving. I knew I needed somebody to hold my hand as I began the movement to dismantle patriarchy. I wrote it on Facebook and some young men laughed at me. How are you going to do it? But I felt this conviction deep in my belly that that needed to be done. So as I was searching who would accompany me on this journey, I came across Lisa Nichols. And in one of her classes, Lisa Nichols asked me, what would you do if you knew you wouldn't fail? That was enough. I went to my room. I started writing. I would write my book called Mother Behold Thy Son. I would have Lisa Nichols become the keynote speaker on my conference, Mothers Globally. And I would have men and women working together to dismantle patriarchy. And the memory of my mom, the power that she was, began to make sense to me. She named me Ndaiziwe. Ndaiziwe is my indigenous name, loaded with meaning, because I was girl number 3 in a succession of girls, and a boy was expected. So my mother was asking society, had I known? I didn't know that I was going to give birth to a girl child. And society expected her to produce an heir. So much pressure on my mom and my father to produce an heir. But alas, came this girl. So I was born into the energy of I'm not enough, but I realized that as my mother named me Ndaiziwe, she was speaking her pain, speaking against patriarchy, voicing against patriarchy. Did she have control in the sex of the child that she gave birth to? No. So I realized my mother was speaking, and it is my turn to pick the baton from her and pass it on to my children, my 2 girls and my boys. So I began the journey to write my book, Mother Behold Thy Son. So today I share my life as a mother of 2 young ladies and 1 young gentleman, all pursuing their passions, and they were raised in my household as equals. I share my story of my injustice that I suffered from childhood to womanhood, and then how I realized that I am an equal human being with equal human rights, deserving equal treatment. And as I began to understand that there is a system of patriarchy that pits brother against sister, husband against wife, men against woman, I began to find ways of disrupting that system. So Mother Behold Thy Son really is about teaching boys to jettison toxic masculinity, to change the phrase boys will be boys to boys will be responsible. Boys will be boys to boys will be accountable. And as mothers, we have the power to socialize our boys into the men that we know will be future leaders, future husbands, future partners, future citizens who will lead this world to true peace and development. As mothers, this power has been undervalued, underestimated, underrated, because society tends to believe that women are less, they are not capable of leading. But today, I proclaim that this is our decade as mothers. It is time to harness maternal power for equality. It is time to harness maternal power for global change. And mothers are qualified by virtue of just being mothers, by virtue of having the power of love, the unconditional power of love. Mothers are qualified. Are you going to join me in this movement of mothers and allies where we disrupt and dismantle patriarchy through teaching love and humanity to our sons? Through telling our stories as mothers, we will teach our children. Through engaging in the day-to-day activities in our home, sharing chores equally, and recognizing the needs of each and every child, girl or boy, as mothers, we will win this war. I know I cannot do it by myself. I need you, mothers. I need us to know how much power we wield, because we have time with our children. We have time to tell them stories that will help them understand that you cannot abuse another human being. We have time to share with them what we went through, as I did with my son. In chapter 1 of Mother Behold Thy Son, I talk about male entitlement and female silence. The story about my abuse in high school, and I teach my son, do not be like that boy, because this is what mama felt. And from my story, I teach my son. We can teach our sons to begin to feel and stop telling them boys don't cry, boys are strong, boys this, and deny them the opportunity to express their feelings. We want to give safe spaces for our boys and our men to express themselves so that they can understand that every human being is equal.